Welcome to a deep dive, everyone. Today we're going into the world of Resident Evil and that whole Raccoon City thing.
A world of zombies and monsters and a conspiracy that goes way deeper than you might think.
And get this, our source material is written like one of those choose-your-own-adventure books.
It's wild. You really get inside Jill Valentine's head as she's making these impossible choices.
Like right off the bat, her team, STARS Alpha Team, is sent to check out why Bravo Team disappeared in the Raccoon Forest. I mean, come on, just the name of that place screams trouble, right?
Talk about setting the mood. The document really emphasizes just how isolated and scared everyone is.
Especially when that helicopter pilot, Brad, can't get a hold of Bravo Team. Just static.
Foreshadowing at its finest, because it goes from bad to worse when they find Bravo Team's chopper just abandoned.
And then, bam, they're attacked by those Cerberus things. Basically, think of messed up dogs.
Messed up is putting it mildly. The document makes it clear these Cerberus are bioweapons, not just some rabid animals.
Jill and the team barely make it out alive. They find this mansion, figure it's gotta be safer than the woods, right?
Oh, if only. That mansion is like its own character in this story, full of secrets, danger lurking everywhere.
No kidding. Before you know it, Jill's staring down a real-deal zombie.
The document doesn't even try to sugarcoat it. Straight up calls them zombies, no question.
Yeah, but not everyone reacts the same way. Like, Jill's freaking out understandably, but Barry, the weapons guy, it's like he's seen it all before.
Makes you wonder, right? Like he knows something's up, especially with all the clues they're finding. That researcher's will they come across. Talk about creepy. This guy was terrified of becoming one of the undead.
And he wasn't just some random guy, was he?
Nope. The researcher's will, it points to a much bigger picture. That this outbreak wasn't some accident. Umbrella, that corporation they keep mentioning, they're involved up to their eyeballs.
Speaking of weird stuff, there's this whole scene where Jill finds a piano and just starts playing Moonlight Sonata in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, just casual.
But here's the thing. That one little act, it opens up this secret passage. Like the mansion itself has more going on than meets the eye.
But Jill can't catch a break because she runs into Richard, one of the Bravo team guys. And this poor sap's been bitten by a giant snake. A giant snake. And Jill has to find the antidote, like yesterday.
And this is where you as the player get to twice. How fast does Jill move? Does Richard live or die? It's all on you.
Like the pressure's on. And as if that wasn't enough, she overhears Barry arguing with someone. And guess what they're talking about? Umbrella. It's starting to sound like Barry might be a bad guy after all.
Or is he? That's what the document wants you to figure out. It keeps you guessing about everyone.
And that's where we're going to leave it for now. But trust me, things are about to get even wilder. Man, I'm still thinking about Barry and that whole umbrella thing.
Well, hold on tight because things are about to get even more twisted. That mansion, it's practically a walk in the park compared to what's coming.
You're not kidding. We're talking about those choices Jill has to make, the ones we talked about earlier. They really start to matter now, like life or death for her and anyone dumb enough to team up with her.
Well, that's putting it a bit dramatically, but yes, the stakes are definitely higher now.
No kidding. Like with Richard, even if Jill finds that antidote, he could still bite it.
It's a harsh reality check. We're not dealing with a normal situation here. It's survival of the fittest, you know?
And speaking of things trying to survive, Jill finds this room, right? And in the middle of it is this plant. But not like any plant you've ever seen. This thing's got tentacles and a mouth like something out of a horror movie.
Plant 42, they call it. And let me tell you, it's not winning any gardening awards. More like a nightmare straight out of Little Shop of Horrors, only a lot less singing.
So what's Jill supposed to do?
Well, that's where you come in. Remember those choices. The document gives you an option here. Jill can either use this super strong chemical, D-Jolt, to take the plant down, or
Come on, don't leave me hanging.
Or she could try to get around it, which is where Barry might come back into play, potentially sacrificing himself to help her.
Talk about a rock in a hard place. Use a dangerous chemical that might have some nasty side effects. Or trust the guy who might be working for the bad guys.
Exactly. It shows you the kind of pressure Jill's under. Every choice has a downside.
And if that wasn't enough, guess who decides to show up?
Let me guess. It's our old pal Wesker, back from his little disappearing act.
Bingo. But this time something's different. It's like he's not even trying to hide it anymore.
The document lays it out pretty clearly. Wesker's got his own agenda going on.
Oh yeah, he's all about looking out for number one. All that team stuff. Out the window.
You can practically see his true colors starting to show.
And then, because things weren't bad enough already, Jill runs into another one of Umbrella's creations. This one's called a hunter.
Now this thing's a whole new level of creepy. The document describes it as a bioengineered killing machine. Fast, strong, and smart. Way more dangerous than your average zombie.
Yeah, no kidding. This thing's a straight-up nightmare.
But wait, there's more.
More. What
Yeah.
could be worse than that?
Remember Yawn, the giant snake?
Yeah, the one with the taste for Bravo team.
Well, it's back for seconds. And this time, it's pissed. Like it knows Jill messed with it the first time, and it wants revenge.
This mansion is like a bad buffet, only instead of food, it's monsters.
It really is something. And speaking of things coming back to haunt us, remember that hole in the floor where Yawn first appeared?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a dead end after all. Barry shows up with a rope, offers to help Jill down. What a nice guy, right?
I don't trust that guy as far as I can throw him.
Well, you might be right not to, because once Jill's down in that hole, Barry does something pretty messed up. He drops the rope, leaves her down there in the dark.
Seriously. Talk about adding insult to injury.
See? This is what I'm talking about. Barry's true colors are starting to show. And this, my friend, is another one of those big choices the document throws at you.
What do you mean?
Does Jill trust Barry to come back for her? Or does she decide these bad news and try to find another way out? It's a tough call.
I'm on the edge of my seat here, so what happens next?
Well, it depends on what you, as the player, decide to do. If Jill waits for Barry, let's just say things get very interesting.
Interesting good or interesting bad?
Oh, you'll have to wait and see. But let's just say Barry's true loyalties become very clear.
Man, this whole thing is a minefield.
That's one way to put it. But even if Jill decides to go it alone, she eventually runs into someone else. And this time, it's a blast from the past. The last remaining member of Bravo team.
Enrico.
Enrico, but I thought he was a goner.
Well, he managed to survive this long, but he's not doing so hot when Jill finds him, and before he kicks the bucket, he drops a major bombshell.
What kind of bombshell? Don't leave me hanging.
Enrico tells Jill that there's a traitor among the STARS team, someone who's been working with Umbrella all along.
No way. Who is it, does he say?
He's about to, but just as he's about to reveal the traitor's identity, he's shot dead. You're kidding. Talk about a cliffhanger. So who shot him? Who's the traitor? I need answers.
And you'll get him. But first, we need to delve even deeper into this twisted story.
A traitor in STARS. I did not see that coming.
And that lab? It's a whole different kind of creep, like something out of a sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah, those flickering lights, metal walls. It's giving me the chills just thinking about it.
But unlike that mansion, the lab doesn't hide its secrets. It shoves them right in your face.
And what they find, talk about disturbing. Documents on how they created all those bioweapons, Cerberus, Hunters, even Yawn the snake.
Proof positive that Umbrella knew exactly what they were doing. And there's this slideshow Jill finds, right? Full of graphic images, detailed descriptions of all these creatures.
Yes, and they were so proud of the monsters they made.
Exactly. The document really wants you to understand the cold, calculated nature of Umbrella's work. This wasn't some accident. This was intentional.
It's just sick. But remember Chris, Jill's partner? Turns out he was trying to expose Umbrella and they captured him.
Poor guy ends up imprisoned in that lab. Talk about a reunion you don't want to have.
And then, because it's never that easy, Wesker shows up again.
But this time, the charade is over. He admits it, flat out. He's been playing them all along.
He wants to steal Umbrella's research for himself. What a snake.
The ultimate betrayal.
Yeah.
You got to feel for Barry if he's still around.
Talk about a moral dilemma. Side with the guy who betrayed you or risk everything to stop him. What would you do?
Impossible choice. And just when you think it can't possibly get any more intense, Jill comes face to face with the big kahuna, Umbrella's deadliest creation.
The Tyrant. Now that's a name that lives up to the hype.
Oh, it's not just a name. This thing is a tank. Practically unstoppable.
And of course, Wesker thinks he can control it. Thinks it'll make him powerful.
Yeah, well, pride goes before the fall, right? Because the Tyrant, it breaks free. And guess who goes after first?
No way. Wesker gets a taste of his own medicine.
You reap what you sow. And that leaves Jill with another impossible choice. Try to save Chris and Barry, or get the heck out of Dodge while she still can.
Another tough one. So, what happens? Does anyone survive?
That, my friend, is the beauty of this document. It gives you options, multiple endings depending on the choices you made. Jill could escape alone, with Chris, with Barry, or maybe, just maybe, she finds a way to save both of them.
Wow. So it really is a choose-your-own-adventure.
Exactly. It makes you think, what would I do in that situation? Who would I save?
So what's the takeaway here, besides the fact that you should never trust a corporation that creates killer zombies?
I think the document is asking us to look at the bigger picture, to ask ourselves, how far is too far when it comes to scientific progress, and what are we willing to sacrifice in the name of survival?
Heavy stuff.
It is, but it's something we need to think about, especially in a world where bioweapons aren't just the stuff of science fiction.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. But man, what a wild ride. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
Anytime. It's been a fascinating journey into the dark heart of Resident Evil.
And to our listeners, if you want to learn more about Jill Valentine and the Raccoon City incident, we encourage you to check out the source material. Trust us, it's an experience you won't soon forget. Until next time, stay curious out there.
And stay vigilant. You never know what might be lurking around the corner.